What is going on? What is going on? Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to My Mistake Mondays. Uh, First, I would like to give everyone just a premise on the concept of My Mistake Mondays. This is something that I tried maybe about a year ago, but to be honest with you, I didn't stay consistent with it, was a mistake that I will talk about probably in another episode. But the overall premise of this show is to talk about the professional mistakes that I have made, but not for the sake of just saying that I've made a mistake, but to talk about the mistake and the lesson. In some instances, the lessons with an S that I learned from the mistake that I applied moving forward. And it helped me out through my overall professional career. In this day and age, even in the workforce prior to social media, everybody wants to look perfect. Everybody wants to be in a position where they don't make any mistakes, or what they try to do is minimize the mistake that they have made and not use it as a lesson learned. So the concept of this is to maximize the mistakes that I've made in my business and my overall career, explain that to you, and then also give you the overall lesson that I learned in hopes that you, one, will not make the same mistake. And if you do make that same mistake, you have some quick lessons learned that you can apply to get back on your feet. I'm a type of person where I have no problem admitting my overall mistakes because I am confident in who I am and a business owner and an overall professional. However, you have a lot of people that trip over themselves when they make a mistake and not get past it. But one of the best ways to get past a mistake is to actually take the lesson from it and then move forward. So today's specific mistake is called networking neglect, the opportunities that I missed because I did not capitalize on the overall concept of networking slash relationship building. So based off of this episode, I'm going to talk to you about some opportunities that I missed, what I learned from it, and more importantly, what I'm doing moving forward when it comes to the concept of networking. The first mistake I made when it came to networking, aka building relationships with individuals, is that I'm an introvert. And with me being an introvert, I cannot be very successful in building strategic relationships. To be very personal, I am an introvert and my wife is a extrovert. So understanding the concept of how extroverts operate, especially on a day-to-day basis, back then was very intimidating because I would look at my wife and look at how she would interact with people, or more importantly, how people were drawn to her, and instantly told myself, well, since I'm an introvert, I cannot do the same thing, which was a huge mistake. And I missed out on a lot of opportunities, not only from a career and business perspective, but just an opportunity to meet great people. Actually, I was on the phone with one of my good buddies yesterday, and we talked about the concept of just going to meet people just for the sake of meeting them and building overall relationships. In this day and age, when it comes to networking, not all, but there is a huge group of people where it's very transactional, meaning, okay, you do something for me. I mean, I do something for you, you have to do something for me, as opposed to meeting someone, being genuinely interested in them, and then taking the necessary steps that you have to drive, which was a mistake that I had to overcome also. And I'll talk about that in a minute, that you have to drive to get to know them. Now, rejection is real. And in some instances, the fear of opening up to someone or even just reaching out their hand and introducing yourself can be a little intimidating. In some instances, it can be a lot intimidating. However, you have to get over that. And not just for the sake of just saying it's impersonal, but individuals that are very intimidated based off of meeting people, you're missing out on a very good opportunity to connect with people, create a community with people, especially in this day and age. We are in the midst of dealing with isolation. And when people feel like they're isolated, they feel like they don't have a lot to bring to the table. However, as you build relationships with people, network with them, however you want to say it, it debunks that overall myth. But the premise for me specifically was, since I'm an introvert and really not understanding the concept of what an introvert is, that put me on a shelf where I couldn't get out there and meet people and build relationships, and built these relationships for the premise of, one, getting to know individuals, because with billions of people out there, there are tons of great people that they're out there that are ready to meet you. But if you don't put forth the effort to put yourself in places to meet these individuals, or in some instances, just build up the courage just to reach out, introduce yourself to someone else and say, hi, my name is X, Y, and Z, that can be the start of building an overall relationship. So anybody out there who is an introvert, I get it, because being an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you're shy. Being an introvert means that your interaction and the energy that you use to the interaction and the energy that you use to interact with people. I understand that when I used to go to networking events and talk to people, after I got, and this is just for me, okay, after I got over myself and got out of my head, it wasn't the fact that I was shy. I was very tired after these networking events, but the sacrifice of me being tired and in exchange of meeting some great people, it was worth me being tired at the end of the day. And some of the people that I met at events or on the street or just anywhere, they've been very valuable, not even in the sense of what they have done for me. Just being very valuable is that I can relate to someone and I can reach out to someone if I'm actually going through something on a personal or a professional perspective. So one of the mistakes that I made was, me being an introvert, I cannot network. And if my wife sees this, I know she says I'm always in my head when it comes to this situation, but I shouldn't have compared myself to my wife based off of her being an extrovert. It really didn't click for me until I actually learned from her and saw some of the things that she was doing when she would interact with people and start to incorporate that. But I did not try to become extroverted. I learned from the closest extrovert that's to me, aka my wife. But then I was able to apply that when it comes to meeting people, and the individuals that I met and still continue to meet adds tremendous amount of value to my life. So once again, that first mistake is, if thinking that being an introvert, I could not go through the actual process of meeting people and building overall relationships. Right. The second mistake, and I had to really learn this when it came to the first 5 years of my business, that due to the lack of me not networking, it tremendously hurt my overall visibility, excuse me. Now, this isn't high school and it's not about a popularity contest, even though we are in an age when it comes to just business and when it comes to how people view you. The more people follow you, the more popular you are. And that's a narrative that you can't really get out of nowadays, but it's a narrative that I refuse to accept, right? And let me go deeper with that. I thought that if I just stayed in my little shell and I just did very good when it came to my overall business, I would get continuous clients, or when job opportunities will come up, I will be top of mind, which was a huge mistake, because if I was in my corner, in my professional corner, and I just work, there was nothing that I did, or there weren't any individuals that can specifically seek me out and say, hey, Eric, we have an opportunity for you, or I have a potential client for you. And for the first 5 years in my business, just staying in my corner, I was killing myself in a sense, professionally, of course. And I just thought that if I just stayed in my corner and just worked and did the very best that I could, all the potential opportunities will come to me. In actuality, the total opposite happened. I got looked over for so many opportunities, even though I was busting my tail and doing the very best that I can with the clients that I have, I know for a fact that if I worked on specifically getting out there and meeting people, and I'll talk about that in a minute, because the meeting people doesn't always have to be, you have to meet a large amount of people in one sitting, but meeting the right people, it hurt my business. And in a lot of instances, it hurt my pride, because for a lot of times I would always bust my tail and not figure out why I would always get the short end of the stick. However, with me not knowing, which was right in front of me, other individuals who was half as talented as me and half as good as me when it comes to my overall profession, they was getting the overall opportunities. But why were they getting those opportunities? Is because they was out there networking with people, building relationships with people, and getting that overall visibility, regardless of the fact that if they were the top 3 person or the top 1,000 person in their industry, they're visible, and people give opportunities to people that they know, like, and trust, or more importantly, that they are top of mind of. And you will not ever be top of mind in your business, in your career, if you do not get out there and network with people. Once again, not network with a mass amount of people, because I'm a firm believer that quality supersedes quantity. And in a sense where Al Capone, who's a Chicago gangster, said that he would rather have 4 quarters as opposed to 100 pennies. So the people that you strategically build relationships with, that one person can be a game changer as opposed to randomly meeting 99 or 100 people. Not saying that everyone doesn't hold with overall value, but as a career professional, and in some instances an entrepreneur, you need to strategically align yourself with people, not use them, but be in their view. So when opportunities come up, you will be top of mind. Okay. So once again, the second mistake that I made when it comes to the overall networking slash building relationships, if I stayed in my corner and just worked my tail off, I would get the recognition and I would get the visibility that I need, which was far from the truth. And last but not least, and this is one thing that I had to learn maybe for the past 3 or 4 years. And if anyone that's followed me on Instagram, or if somebody's followed me on YouTube, or just know me personally, I pump out a lot of content, whether it's videos, live streams like this, videos on Instagram. I just make sure that I am a overall content machine. And based off of that, going. So it's always good to have a backup. But with me being a content machine, I'm able to attract other individuals who may be like-minded, or in some instances, which I welcome, I'll be able to attract people that may not fully agree with what I wrote about. And with that, it can create an overall dialogue, because strangely, I've created some great relationships based off of people who initially didn't agree what I said, but based off of us having a mature conversation and not taking it personally, I was able to find something that what made us parallel, to the point where even if we didn't agree on what I wrote about or what I posted, we would still find ways where we can overall coexist. Once again, you have to put yourself in a position where you are an expert in what you're doing. And I firmly believe, regardless of what you are doing in your career or doing with your business, you can position yourself as an expert based off of the certain pieces of information that you put out. Strangely enough, a lot of people, even when we have platforms like LinkedIn and blogs and things of that nature, you have a lot of individuals that don't post anything, and they don't attract anyone, if that makes any sense. So with that, me sharing knowledge and gaining new insights based off of my career and the stuff that I'm learning on a daily basis, that's able for me to get involved in certain communities. And within those communities, what are there? There are other professionals where you could get to know them, you can network with, you can build relationships, you can do whatever. Opportunities are presented from people, right? It's not just being on an overall platform, because To segue into part four, people make the mistake just because they have a quote unquote lot of followers. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have a substantial network. There's a long lived question where if it was 2 o'clock in the morning and your car broke down, who would you call that will get out their bed and help you? The people that will get out their bed and help you, they like you to the point where they trust you and they know that they care for you to a certain extent. That's the same way when it comes to um, networking and professionally networking. For me, one of the golden rules for me, I don't do business with anybody until I have a very good understanding of them. And the very good understanding isn't just researching them online. Usually, I like to have a one on one conversation with them to get a gist of who they are from a 360-degree level. Even in the event it is just business, I like to know my potential clients, or I like to know the people that are in my network. I like to know who their kids are. I like to know what they are not per se dealing with, but based off of the conversations that we have, I'm very personable. And I just don't want to say that I know someone, even though I may not know. And even though it may be an exchange in a business perspective, I would like to know you because it makes the overall relationship better. For me, I like to have relationships that are very, very deep as opposed to very, very wide. And what do I mean by that? I would rather have a strong relationship with deep 25 people as opposed to having a subpar or mediocre relationship with 100 people. But in this day and age, and I talked about this before, you have a lot of people that want to have these mediocre relationships, but when you're in a situation where you actually need that person, how you correspond with the person, how you treat them, and how you get to know them, and how you develop the relationship could be the difference of you calling someone and they're picking up your phone call on the first ring, or they send in your call to voicemail. I've seen it all the time. And if you, as a professional, do not take the time, effort, and energy to get to know the people that is in your network, in some instances, you're setting yourself up for failure. And let me even take it a step further where I know a lot of people aren't going to like. Even if you are in a situation where you are never asked that person for help in any way, shape, or form, still approach them and treat them the same way because a lot of people have motives, have a lot of back end motives. And when it comes to networking, people will do almost anything that you ask them to if they know that you care for them from a genuine perspective. Okay. So the concept of that is when you meet people, treat them the same way that you would treat your family. Treat the family who you have good relationships with. Let me do a quick disclaimer on that. But treat people like royalty, and you'll see how your network of people and your network of valuable people will blossom in due time. Do not make the mistake that I made, where once again thinking that since I'm an introvert, I can't build substantial relationships. Number two, me not building relationships, I would have the visibility that I need if I did not build these substantial relationships, because people only help people that they know, and you need to strategically get yourself in a position where you are visible to these people. And sometimes being visible to these people is caring for them outside of what they can do for you. And then last but not least, for the people who are introverted and figuring out a way how you could start to uh, gain more traction when it comes to meeting people, position yourself as an industry expert, share knowledge, gain new insights, because based off of the information that you put out there, you are going to get other people that will comment on it or even add more insight to what you're talking about. And that is a very good opportunity for you to start to build overall relationships. I wish that someone gave me this information when I started out in my career well over 13, 14 years ago. But based off of the mistakes that I've made and the missed out opportunities, I've learned quickly how to, one, understand that people make the world go round. And based off of the relationships that you have with certain people, could be the difference of you being extremely successful in getting everything that you want in your career or being at the back of the bus and struggling. I see so many talented individuals who are close to being geniuses in the area that they are in, but no one knows them because they don't take the time out to network and build relationships with people. If you are looking at this live stream and you are in that position, no harm, no foul. You can change that around by taking the first step. And what that first step could be is I'll give you my 2-5-1 rule that I use when it comes to building overall relationships. Okay. So the two is meet two new people every single week. It is the beginning of the week and it is, yeah, it's Monday, right? So make it a task or a goal for you to meet two new people this week. It can be at your current job, it can be at a fun networking function, it can be just meeting someone at the coffee shop, but put forth the effort to meet two new individuals from a numbers perspective. If you meet two new individuals from now all the way into next year, that is 104 new people that you meet that you can build relationships with and go forward. I mean, building 102 new people is a great overall start. And it's something that is not overwhelming because you meet people every single day, you interact with people every single day, you walk past people every single day. Put forth the effort to stop and do your best to make an overall connection. The five is connect with five people in your existing network. And connecting with those five people can be something as simple as I just want to check in with them. People really, now, don't get me wrong, for people to say the only time you should reach out to someone is if you have an article, if you have something to share, that's totally understandable. But people are human. Humans are people. And you never know what someone's going through in this day and age. Even the individuals who are at the top of the food chain or in the top of the industry that's going on, they're going through something, right? They may not actually talk about it. They may be masking it for the sake of just keep moving in their professional career. But just checking in with someone and just seeing how they're doing, in my opinion, supersedes you sending an article. If you don't have an article, just genuinely checking in with someone just to see how they're doing is genuine, right? People who know me, they know that I love my daughter and my wife dearly. So the individuals that know me, if you lead with how am I doing or how my family is doing, that's going to get a lot more attention than just someone just asking for a favor, especially if I haven't heard from them throughout the course of a couple of years. Because if you reach out, and let's be honest, this is something that most people don't talk about, but I will. If I haven't talked to you in a substantial amount of time and then you just automatically pop up because you want something, I'm going to be very hesitant to help you because you go from an individual that you put yourself in the position of being a user, right? And everyone is on this planet to be used, or everyone on this planet should help other people out, but not to be misused. And people can smell someone, you just reaching out for them because they want something a mile away. Don't put yourself in that position. So every week, if you reach out to five people in your existing network, in the event the day that you do need to reach out to them, they'll be more reluctant to touch base with you because you reached out to them other times when you didn't want anything, which is a key thing. A lot of people miss this. And just because you have an X amount, a larger group of people in your network, if you have not reached out to them, checked in on them, and see how they're doing, even though that you are in their network, they will treat you like a stranger. Okay. So we talked about meeting two new people, and we talked about checking in with five people in your existing network. I got to slow down. I'm talking fast. But last but not least, have one face-to-face or virtual meeting with someone every week. That face-to-face could be coffee, lunch, dinner, breakfast, even just getting in front of someone virtually and just taking the time out just to reconnect. As human beings, we need to connect with people, and the connection doesn't necessarily mean virtually, right? and virtually means via social media or any of these other platforms. Sit down, break bread, drink coffee, do whatever that's good for you, but have that one-on-one interaction. It will definitely work wonders. So for anyone that has uh, gain a better understanding based off of the mistakes that I've made when it comes to the neglecting that I did when it comes to networking. Now you have a three-step process that you can use, that you can apply today, that you can help you build, maintain, and deepen the relationships that you have, right? So once again, the premise of this particular show is to, one, let people know some of the mistakes that I've made in my career, but then also give you some tools, tips, and strategies that you can do if you've made that mistake before, that you can quickly learn from that mistake. My name is Eric B. Horn, and thank you guys for your time, effort, and energy. And I will see you on the next live stream.